Hi, this is Ralph Reyes for the Club Solutions Institute. We just wrapped up January, and if you recall, our theme for January was fundamentals. And we wanted to start the year right, making sure that we were taking a look at all the most important things that affect our club business the most. And that's what we were looking at in January, so we would start the year right. Now, in February, our theme is standards. I wanted to focus on that because they provide a very strong framework and architecture for our club and our club culture, and therefore our people. So, just kind of in general, standards, they define what we stand for. And that's what creates the culture in our club. Whether it's positive or negative, what we stand for is what becomes our culture. Number two, standards communicate our expectation to our teams. So when people understand what the expectations are, it's easy to be able to understand what is expected of me, and I can perform my best under those situations. An example I can think of is maybe in staff meetings. The behavior that's tolerated within staff meetings is, and the expectation for everybody and how you act in those meetings is really an important part to communicate. If people are expected to be heads up and participatory and listening, or are they buried behind their laptops, or they're doodling on a notepad, or are they looking out the window and disengaged? But really creating that expectation for meeting behavior is what helps to set the standard so everybody knows what's expected of them. Standards create a really great measuring stick so we can measure ourselves against our standards to see how we're doing. So therefore, we've got an NPS goal of X, and we can measure against that standard to say we're either meeting, exceeding, or we've got to make some adjustments because we're not quite there. But it does give us a measuring stick to be able to say we're falling short, we're meeting, or we're exceeding, and it gives our team something to work with versus just being a subjective point of view that maybe one person has different from another person. And the fourth one is that standards really create great clarity for everybody. It makes it crystal clear what's important, what we should be working on, maybe what we shouldn't be working on, and just makes it, when we know from our work from Pat Lencioni and what we've studied with the Advantage, is that clarity is really the basis of creating a healthy work environment where people can thrive. So those are four main things with why I wanted to focus on standards for the month of February. And within Club Solutions Institute, all the courses are really meant to help you and your team, help to create some talking points around standards, but maybe even help to find the standard for your team based on what other people in the industry are doing and hearing from the experts that are the faculty within the courses. So I would strongly suggest you take advantage of all that. One of the reasons why I focused on Al Amador's course for this week is that because he is a table group consultant who and works directly with Pat Lencioni, that he's an expert in helping the teams to create clarity. And he talks a lot about that in the course that he did for us. So here's the exercise I have for you and for your team. Super simple. So what you can do is, with your team, talk about 2 or 3, 4 behavioral norms that are within your organization, within your team. Things that have just become commonplace. It's just kind of the way we do it. Identify those things, but then really put some labels on. Are they enhancing our culture? Are they part of who we want to be? Or are they things that are detracting from our culture and who we want to be, and we need to correct them? Maybe things have slipped a little bit in some areas, and we want to make the adjustment. We've allowed this behavior to take place, and now we're going to correct it because that's not who we want to be, and we don't feel good about that. So that's the exercise. Identify some things that have just become commonplace. Reward yourself if they're awesome and reinforce them so they stay alive, but identify maybe a couple where you can make some course corrections. So thanks, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.